Hi everyone, welcome to Dad HQ. This is my own little fortress of solitude where I like to sometimes, occasionally, get away from the family. I mean, Jay and Tash are great and all, but occasionally I want a little bit of time to myself. But I have a little problem. Occasionally they think that things like my Beanos and my priceless museum artefacts are mere toys that they should be able to come in with and play and wander off with. And so I have a real problem with that. So today I'm going to show you my solution to it. See if we can catch them in the act. So my solution to this problem is pretty simple. It involves a few little tiny things. You need a bit of kind of tin foil from the kitchen, 2 squares. That's what we're going to start with. The other thing you need is just a piezoelectric buzzer. We've shown these before. They come in all kinds of varieties, like 50p to £1.50 or something on Amazon or eBay. In fact, we'll put some links below that you can find some of these. And it'll probably be helpful to have some more of the crocodile clips that you've seen us use before. And you'll need a few of those. So I'm just going to show you how you fit it to the door, really. What you do is stick one at the top here. I've got a bit of blue tack under it. And it's from the top of the frame, and it's actually going kind of into the door, kind of around the corner. And take another piece like this, and take a bit of blue tack on the front of the door and a bit of blue tack on top. Just stick it all down. And you'll see when I close the door now, they're actually in contact with each other. And that's what we're going to use to actually do our burglar alarm. So we're going to clip on a clip up here. I'm going to stick that with another bit of blue tack out the way. And then clip the other crocodile clip on here. So we're going to end up with 2 crocodile clips. And then we can move on to the next bit, which is actually to connect the microbit to them. So whether you're building a room alarm to keep those pesky kids out of your office, or you're keeping those pesky parents out of your room, or even keeping sisters out of your room, really it's not too difficult to build, and we're going to break it down into little bits and show you how to build each one. We're using our favourite editor here. That's the one at pxt.microbit.org. It's a great editor, a bit like Scratch if you've ever used it, where you can drag blocks on. And we're going to break down what we need to do in a few bits. So we're going to start off with how we're actually going to set the alarm off when the door opens. So when the 2 contacts on the door, 2 bits of tin foil, disconnect, that's when we need to make an alarm go off. So we're actually going to look in the input field here. Normally we'd do things like when a pin is pressed, but actually we need an advanced one. So if we go into more, there's actually when a pin is released. Because what we want is where the 2 contacts stop being connected, where the contact between 3 volts and pin whatever we put it on is disconnected. So we need on pin released. And pin 0 we're going to use for the sounder. So we're going to use pin 2, so it's up the other end out the way here, for actually connecting the 2 bits of tinfoil to. So when pin 2 is released, we need it to make a sound. So we're going to the music block, play tone C for 1 beat. Now that's going to play just one kind of sound. It's going to be a bit boring, so we want to make a kind of neenah sound, like an ambulance sound. So we're going to get another block, we duplicate that and change it to C, but the next one up, so C5. So it will jump a whole octave note and you get that kind of neenah sound. So if pin 2 is released, it will start playing that. That's actually all the code we need to play that. The only problem is, of course, we need to be able to set this alarm and get out of the room without it going off. So we're going to have to do something a little bit more clever. So what we're going to do is create a variable. Variables are kind of things you can share between little bits of your code, and we're going to create one called alarm set. I've already created it here, so you can see our thing is called alarm set, but we want to set it to a value. So if we go back into variables, we're going to do set alarm set, and what we want it to be is yes, the alarm is set, or no, it isn't. So you usually would call those true or false. Okay, so we're going to drag set alarm set to false, so it's not set. And then inside our on pin 2 release, we want it to keep playing that tone repeatedly, because at the moment it will just play it once, like that. We want it to keep playing again and again and again. So what we need to do is put it in a loop, but obviously we don't want it to be playing when the alarm isn't set. So we're going to use the while true loop. We're going to drag our tone inside it like that, and we're going to say while alarm set is true, or equals true, then we want it to be doing this. So while alarm set equals true. So if my alarm is set, then play this tone again and again and again until alarm set is not true anymore, and then stop playing it. So right now with our code here, it won't actually ever start playing because we set alarm set to false right at the beginning, and then even if you press or release pin 2, if the door connections disconnect when you open the door, it won't sound because alarm set is never set to true. So we need another bit of code that actually sets alarm set to true, but we also, which will basically arm the alarm, but we also want it to be able to disarm the alarm as well. So you could do all kinds of things. You could have like pressing A 5 times and B once. We're just going to do a simple one for now. So we're going to say when button A and B, so both buttons on the microbit are set, we want to set alarm set to false, so to reset the alarm if it is already set, and if it isn't set, we want to set it. So we have to do an if. So if you go into logic, I'm going to use if and then. I'm just going to duplicate this block over here. So if alarm set is true, then we're going to set alarm set to false, and otherwise we're going to set it to true. So when button A is pressed, it will check whether the alarm is currently set. If it is, it will set it to be not set, and if it isn't, it will set it. Okay, but we want time to get out of the room, so we don't want it to immediately be set. So we need it to delay a little bit before it actually does this line and sets it. So we're going to go into basic and find a pause and drop that in between. And this is in milliseconds, so 1,000 milliseconds to a second. We probably want like 8 seconds to get out of the room. There we go. So when we press A and B and the alarm isn't set, it's going to wait 8 seconds and then set it. And after that, if pin 2 is released, so if we open the door again, it will sound the alarm off. Okay? But when someone comes in and sets the alarm off, if I want to come in and stop it making a noise, I press A and B, it will say yes, the alarm is currently set, and it will turn it off, and this loop will stop. That's all the code you need. I mean, you could drag it around and make it look pretty there, but that's actually all the code you really need in here. If you've used this editor before and you've only ever looked at the blocks, it's interesting to go and look at this little tab up here. So this is called JavaScript. It's actually the same code. We can flip between our code written in blocks and our code written in JavaScript. So if you've got used to looking at it in blocks, go and have a look in JavaScript. JavaScript is a language that's actually used, I use it in my day job. It's used by website developers and phone developers and all kinds of different people writing software. So it's a great way of you introducing yourself to a language that is used in everyday programming. So don't be too alarmed by it. It looks very, very different to the blocks, but actually it's not too bad. I can just quickly talk you through this. It's written kind of line by line in here. So this first one is our variable. So it's saying create a variable, let alarm set, and credit to false. Then what we've got here is an event. It's saying when a pin is released, and the pin is pin 2, while alarm set, our variable, is true, then play the note. The moment alarm set is false, it will stop playing this and come out the loop. So that's our first event, pin released. Our second event in here is when button A and B are pressed. And it's saying if the alarm set equals, and it uses this double equals, that means is equal to. So if alarm set is equal to true, then set alarm, a single equals to false. Otherwise, wait, pause for 8,000 milliseconds, 8 seconds, and set the variable alarm set equal to true. Okay, that's a really quick run through, but I really encourage you to have a look when you've written some code and see if you can start to understand how this is put together in JavaScript. It will really help you move on to your kind of next level of programming that you're doing. So let's actually try this out. Let's see how it works. So now we're going to connect the microbit, and we've got the music or the kind of siren coming out of pin 0. So that's where we're going to connect our piezoelectric buzzer. And we've actually got the switch on the door, effectively the alarm switch on pin 2. So we need to connect one side of our door switch to pin 2, doesn't matter which side really, because it's just a simple switch, and the other side to ground. and then we'd connect our buzzer to 0. But actually for this project, I'm going to actually use a board that we've recently got from Protopic, just because it makes it nice and quick for you to see, but also it's got a breadboard area here. And breadboard sounds a bit of a weird name, but what it lets you do is kind of push components into it. So I've got a little piezoelectric buzzer that I've pushed into the breadboard. And then you can see on this Protopic board here, we can get to the pins really, really easily. They're all broken out down here. So when we plug our microbit in at the top, there we go. The pins now are all coming through this kind of connector here, and I can get to them really easily down here. I can get to power and ground down here. There's also a ground at the bottom here. But on the breadboard, these little tiny headers that you might just sort of be able to see there on the board, I can plug these little things into, and the top header is also pin 0. So I can connect pin 0 with a crocodile clip here, or I can connect pin 0 with one of these little jumper lead things here. So I've got pin 0 going to one side of my piezoelectric buzzer, and the other side is going to ground, which is the bottom one at the bottom there. So that's what I'm going to use for this. I'm just going to plug the power into the microbit on the top. As you can see, the breadboard is not glued on, and you'd normally use flat on a bench or something. So I've got the power on my alarm there, and now I can just really easily, and you'll be able to see me doing it, connect the things to the right bit. So pin 2 on that side, and ground on that side. So this board is great. It's really easy to be able to kind of connect things on. You can also power it from an external power supply, so you don't have to plug the battery pack in. I could do that. It's also got a USB for powering there. So there's lots of different ways to power it. It's even got a power switch down the bottom, which if you're powering it by USB or the kind of connector there, then you can turn the power on and off. But because I'm powering it actually from the microbit, that switch won't do anything for now. So I've got everything on there, and I can see nice and clearly I've got it on there. I've changed the code a little bit from what we program to put a few little bits of kind of feedback. It tells me when I'm arming it and tells me when I'm disarming it. I'm not going to show you the code for that because I want to see if you can adapt to the original code that we've done and change it to be however you want it to be. So on mine at the moment, if I press both these buttons and wait 8 seconds, it will tell me it's armed. There we go, it's now armed. So if I now open the door, it's going to set it off, and that would be that kind of 8 seconds for me to be able to arm it, get out the door, and then leave the alarm on without setting it off. So now if we open the door, we should hear an alarm. There we go. And it doesn't matter if I shut the door, it's not going to stop the alarm. Just connecting them back together isn't going to stop them. We have to press A and B again, and it's disarmed. And it will tell us there at the top. So the code we've showed you doesn't have this disarmed and armed bit in, but you should be able to work out, if you have a look, how you could write that message at the right place for it. So obviously I'd better click armed, I'd better open it up, get out the door and shut it and get away without setting the alarm off, and then leave it for those pesky kids so they can't get in and borrow things from me. So let's give it a go, let's see how it works during the day. So that's how you make a room alarm. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and check out the links below, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.